Salina Turda salt mine, Turda, Romania. The colossal mine dates all the way back to the Middle Ages. Located in Transylvania, the hollowed underground space was the site of table salt production for hundreds of years until excavations eventually ended in the early 20th century. Salt was first extracted here during the antiquity, and the mine being first mentioned in 1075. The first document that speaks explicitly about the existence of a salt mine in Turda dates from 1st of May 1271, being issued by the Hungarian Chancellery. Documents preserved from the 13th and 14th centuries that refer to the Turda salt mines mention that salines were arranged here. Operating rooms were placed on the sides of current salt lakes. In the 17th century has begun first salt mining works on the northwestern slope of the Salt Valley. Shortly after, the St. Anthony mine was opened, where mining activity continued until the first half of the 20th century. Since 1932, the cavern has been used for several purposes, including as a warehouse for cheese storage and a bomb shelter during World War II. In 1992, Salina Turda was repurposed again, this time as both a museum of salt mining and a subterranean amusement park. It contains an amphitheater, a Ferris wheel, spa treatment rooms, a bowling alley, pool tables, and even an underground lake with rowboats. Salina Turda was ranked in 2013 by Business Insider as among the 25 hidden gems around the world that are worth to track. The next one is Battleship Island, Nagasaki, Japan. Also known as Battleship Island for its resemblance to a Japanese battleship, this 16-acre-long island in Japan's Nagasaki prefecture was once a densely populated place for undersea coal mining. Hashima Island functioned as a lucrative coal facility from 1887 until 1974, when the source ran out, after which Hashima's population quickly left the island. A maze of cracked concrete, crumbling plaster, and snapshots of frozen lives, Battleship Island in Japan resembles a long-forgotten war zone. It was deserted overnight after the closure of its coal mine in 1974. Fallen facades of buildings expose abandoned places littered with reminders of their inhabitants. Shoes remain where they were kicked off. Half-read newspapers litter the floor, and once loved posters slowly peel off bedroom walls. The concrete ghost island was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2015, and today group of visitors can go on tours with local companies. Pripyat, Ukraine. A vast stretch of snow-covered bleakness, this Ukrainian city has been deserted since the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in April 1986. In just 4 hours, Pripyat's entire population was evacuated, and with radiation remaining too high for human habitation, the people never returned. Among the overwhelming sense of abandonment, the most iconic reminder of the disaster is a rusting Ferris wheel in an amusement park that was due to open just days after the accident took place. This tragedy is very well demonstrated in the so popular TV series The Chernobyl, and there are also many documentaries about this on YouTube. For more than 30 years, the city has been overgrown with huge trees. The roads and highways are no longer recognizable. The ghost town has even become home to rare wildlife. Maunsell Forts, Kent, England. Jutting out of the waters of the Thames estuary, the Munsell Forts slowly rust away. Built in 1942, These offshore fortified towers were designed to provide anti-aircraft fire during the Second World War. After they were decommissioned in the late 1950s, a number of the structures were reoccupied by pirate radio stations. However, for the past 3 decades, the forts have stood abandoned and largely ignored. KGB Taganski, Moscow, Russia. Hidden 60 meters below the streets of Moscow lies KGB Taganski, a 7,000 square meter space which once served as a secret Cold War era communications center. Built in the 1950s, this vast complex was designed to withstand a direct nuclear attack and filled with enough supplies to stay running for months afterwards. Since its declassification in 1992, Bunker 42 has drawn many visitors keen to delve into the secrets of the past. In the 1960s, the bunker was fully equipped in case of possible nuclear strike. It stored food and fuel supplies, and 2 artesian wells with drinking water were equipped. Air purification systems could provide combat duty of personnel for a long time. In 1962, at the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the facility operated autonomously in anticipation of a nuclear strike on Moscow. At that time, up to 2,500 people were on duty on its territory. Rugen Hotel, Pyongyang. Unoccupied, unopened, and never finished, the 105-story shell of the Ryugyong Hotel is a scar on Pyongyang's skyline and North Korea's pride. Construction on the hotel began in 1987, but stopped after 5 years due to a lack of funds. Once proudly emblazoned across North Korean stamps, this vacant hotel soon became airbrushed out of official photos. Despite nearly 2 decades of abandonment, construction resumed in 2008, but whether the hotel will ever be completed is open to debate. It was planned to open the hotel in 2012, the centenary of Kim Il-sung's birth. A partial opening was announced for 2013, but this was cancelled. In 2018, an LED display was fitted to one side, which was used to show animation and film scenes. The building has been planned as a mixed-use development, which would include a hotel. The building is currently listed by Guinness World Records as being the tallest unoccupied building in the world. Cherokee Nuclear Plant, South Carolina, USA. Duke Power Corporation originally planned 3 reactors on the property. 1 reactor was partially completed when work was halted in 1982, and they scrapped plans for the other 2. Duke halted construction in the site in 1983 after spending $633 million, which is $1.37 billion in 2018. An uncertain economy, stringent federal regulations on nuclear plants, and a decrease in electrical use caused Duke Power to abandon the site in the early 1980s. Empty and unfinished for nearly 2 decades, this failed energy project in South Carolina got a new lease of life in 1987 as an underwater film set for science fiction thriller The Abyss. Forgotten once again after filming finished, the sets were left on the site until they were finally demolished in 2007. However, there is hope on the horizon. A new power plant is due to be built adjacent to the old structure. Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, USA. Designed by John Haviland and opened on October 25, 1829, Eastern State is considered to be the world's first true penitentiary. Eastern States' revolutionary system of incarceration, dubbed the Pennsylvania system or separate system, encouraged separate confinement as a form of rehabilitation. The warden was legally required to visit every inmate every day, and the overseers were mandated to see each inmate 3 times a day. These complexes consist of cell wings radiating in a semi- or full-circle array from a center tower whence the prison could be kept under constant surveillance. The design for the penitentiary, which Haviland devised, became known as the hub-and-spoke plan, which consisted of an octagonal center connected by corridors to 7 radiating single-story cell blocks, each containing 2 ranges of large single cells, 8 to 12 feet and 10 feet height, with hot water heating, a water tap, toilet and individual exercise yards the same width as the cell. Once the world's most expensive prison from 1829, this Philadelphia facility boasted grand architecture, modern luxuries and notorious inmates including Al Capone. One of the first penitentiaries ever built, it combined impressive design and strict discipline to inspire regret and reform in the hearts of the convicts. Since its closure in 1971, the complex has crumbled into a mess of deteriorating cell blocks, which are now recognized as a National Historic Landmark. Eastern State Penitentiary is open to visitors year-round. Kolmanskop, Namib Desert, Namibia. Located in the barren Namib Desert, Kolmanskop boomed as a German diamond mining settlement during the early 20th century. After World War I, however, the area's once rich diamond field began to deplete, and operations eventually came to a halt. By the end of the 1950s, German colonists had completely deserted the town, leaving the abandoned buildings of their settlement to be swallowed up by the southern Namibian sands. To explore what's left of the sand-filled ghost town today, travelers must book a guided tour in the nearby tourist hub located on Namibia's southern coast. Balaklava, Crimean Peninsula. Naval Museum Complex Balaklava. This top-secret Soviet submarine base once housed some of the Cold War's most dangerous weapons. Amid escalating tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin issued orders to construct a hidden complex called Object 825 GTS under the city of Balaklava. During the Cold War, this top-secret submarine base was a hive of activity. Hidden in the hillside and designed to withstand a direct atomic attack, this giant underground complex once housed a fleet of Soviet nuclear warheads and submarines. Once so secret that the surrounding town of Balaklava had to be erased from maps. The complex is built accordingly to withstand a Category 1 nuclear explosion, that means nuclear yield of 100 kiloton, and includes an underground net of water channels complete with a dry dock, repair shops, warehouses for torpedoes and other weapons. Additionally, it could protect personnel from nuclear fallout. The complex is located in the mountain of Tavros, on both sides of which are exits. Caisson gates could be used if necessary to seal the entire complex. An exit to the open sea is provided on the northern side of the mountain. The holes in the rock are neatly covered with camouflage devices and nets. The base, which was used to station submarines stocked with nuclear weapons, survived beyond the fall of the USSR. The last submarine sailed out of the complex in 1996. In 2002, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense turned the abandoned base into the Balaklava Naval Museum complex. However, after the Russian occupation of the peninsula, it is not yet possible to visit this museum. According to press reports from March 2014, Russia is considering rebuilding a military submarine base at Balaklava. So guys, if you liked this format, subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and we will tell you more facts beyond reality.